All right. Hey there, and welcome back to the episode of A Cup of Joe. My name is Joe Escobedo. Very excited on the show today. Today on the show, we have Mayank Singh, who is the Senior General Manager, Head of Marketing and Technology at Domino's Pizza Indonesia. So thanks for meeting you. Thanks so much for being on the show, Mayank.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me, Joe. And welcome to all the listeners. Hello and namaste.
Absolutely. You could tell how excited I am by today's session because we're going to be talking about something we haven't talked about yet on the show, which is campaign planning and using data in Indonesia, which you are an expert in. And the second thing I would love to get your thoughts on is hacking partnerships with no investment. And because you're a former hacker, I would love to get your thoughts in terms of how you've done that with Domino's and some of your previous companies as well. So let's dive into the first one, which is campaign planning in Indonesia. What is your approach? I know you're very data driven to coming up with campaigns and planning for the Indonesian market.
Yeah, so Joe, I would say it's that I'll not take any credit when it's being data driven. I'm lucky to be part of Domino's Pizza, which has happened to a company which whose ex-CEOs Patrick Doyle once said it's a technology company happened to sell pizzas. So that's how the core is. And that's why from the start, when the whole business was created, the data collection was very important. And because of the business model, it was also very important. It became automatically a part to it. Because when you place a pizza order for delivery, you are giving a lot of data. You are giving phone number to us. You are giving your address to us, which becomes a data point. And now when we have started, so being into retail, I don't have to go for a loyalty program to start collecting the data. So the data planning starts from the data collection where we were lucky in terms of delivery as a core business. We were collecting the customers' data, analyzing them, and then becomes the whole planning of how to reach out to the customer. So going further into the reaching out to the customer, being as I said, so segmenting and recency frequency is something which everyone does, which is we also have CLM program wherein we have segment of customers which is single frequency, low frequency, high frequency, medium frequency, and then what has been their recency from where they last ordered, and then you keep checking into those data points and when to reach out to them, try to incentivize them. Happen to use predictive analytics also to predict who are the ones who should be sent the SMS because the cost of SMS in this part of the country is high. So you have to be very optimized not to send your whole database. So that's, having said that, is one part. But there are other different areas where Domino's works when it comes to utilization of data. The first one I would say, let me talk about how we use the data in the first front is when you open a store. Opening a store is also a use of data. So when we have to open a store, we use one of our segregated stores. Plus going to a new market, we try to analyze that market in terms of what is the demography, what is the population size, use the data, use the surrogate store data, analyze that, and then we try to reform is that this is the store, basis my historical store, and try to predict what is the revenue I'm going to generate in the future. If the revenue is in the line where I'll be achieving my EBITDA positive very soon, then that's the go to the that's the store where I should be going to. So before I start planning the campaign, I have already planned with the data that what is the right store place for me. Now when it comes to campaign planning, so again you're going to plan, you do a lot of campaigns. We segregate campaigns through different parts. One is the simple plan of which I talked about, recency frequency method. The other is tactical planning. So tactical is like today is something exciting which is happening, and it could be a festival day, it could be a holiday, it could be a weekend, or it could be something which I want to create as a content to attract people because I want to boost my sales. Now that becomes a tactical. How to now even on a tactical, I created a campaign, but whom to reach out? What is the audience to reach out? It all comes from the historical data which I have. So suppose if I want to reach out and I'm running a campaign, I want to run a campaign which is specifically targeting to my online audience. Now, and the reason of doing that is because I want to increase my audience, online audience. I have a set of customers who is already the online audience. I have a set of customers who are not the online audience. So what I will do is I will use the set of audience of my system, try to do a predictive analytics of finding similar looking audience, which has never been part of the audience into my own database, and then give them the offer which I want to send it. And that's how I'm actually converting my own audience to a different platform. So why I do that? Because again, the answer came from the data that if I am converting my own offline audience to an online audience, as soon as I do that, his lifetime value in my system increases. If I know converting a customer from an offline to an online is increasing his lifetime value, is increasing his ATV, definitely I should be spending money to do that. And once they are getting converted, they are going to give me more revenue. So using my own data, how can I find, instead of looking for people outside, like how can I generate more revenue within, is one of the way that how we plan the campaign planning.
I mean, it's when you think about pizza, for me, I never thought about, data in that way. And I love the way you guys use it in terms of like identifying where the stores are, predicting revenue, and obviously how that impacts campaigns as well. I'm curious, because you've done kind of, campaign planning, leveraging data in different markets, how does Indonesia kind of play a role? How is that different from the other markets you've worked with?
So the playing with the data, the Indonesia market is not very different. The only thing is that the target of utilizing the data, that differs. So and it differs market to market. So suppose for a market like us, will SMS will work or email will work, or will targeting the same user with the same data on a Facebook and Instagram or a Google would work. That's how it differs. So Indonesia is I would say happy to go lucky kind of market. They are more interested in social. They are more communicative. They want to be part of the social internet is more well to them, and that's where it becomes very important for them to be targeted on the social front. And that's what we do also. So I was talking to you about the new store opening. Even if I have decided to open a new store, then I have to still bring the customers. Now it requires a campaign. What to target? So the best is that I would use my previous store data, my own existing customer, try to do a lookalike audience, upload that customer data into the Facebook, try to do a lookalike audience for the same, for those customers in that area, which I'm going to target, because you can target through the geofencing, and then run a campaign. So your targeting and running a campaign would be more precise, because you are looking for the similar audiences in a new city, which will happen to be your existing audience in a different city. So that's how it differs. Like India, my SMS response was way much better in terms of the conversion. But here it is different, and even the SMS cost is higher. Even when I say the email again is a different entity. So office goers would definitely be looking onto the email. WhatsApp becomes an important factor in this market. People are more sticky towards the WhatsApp. So if you want to use your data and capitalize it, you need to know what is the platform you are going to communicate. And if that's not clear, your campaign is not going to run. So deciding on what platform you're going to utilize the data becomes critical factor.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think understanding, the different platforms, different markets, and you mentioned Indonesia, is a very, social kind of networking type of community, active on WhatsApp and a couple other social platforms. I'm quite interested in terms of like, for example, you mentioned different festivals and different celebrations. How do you actually weave that into what you're doing as well? You touched on it earlier, but I'd love to find out a bit more.
Yeah, so festival becomes a tactical campaign, as I said, and even and when you do a tactical campaign, there are multiple things that matter. One of the important factor is that it's a festival day, so your offering has to be high. So what is the offer you are going to shoot out in the market? The second is that when you're doing an offering in the market, how does it is content oriented? Because your offering and the content has to marry. So suppose if you are going to run, for example, say it was the 107th. So this was 75th Independence Day of Indonesia. How would you target a 70? How when you're targeting, because it's independent, because it's 75th independence, because it happened to have in 44th year. How are you going to ensure that your communication, your even the offering, every bit of your content is carrying the message that it's an Independence Day? And that matters. So suppose in the recent past, we were trying to celebrate Domino's birthday. Now Domino's birthday was happening, and the birthday was going to happen. It's the I think the 11th birthday which was happening, 20th, 12th birthday which was happening. So as a 12th birthday, I wanted to have that communication. It's one is it's the birthday. That the other is that you should know it's the 12th birthday, and how to marry it with my offer. I came up with an offer called 112% discount. Now, to you as a marketer, you would also question that how can one give 112% discount? But the catch here was 112% discount on the second pizza. Now, even listening to that 112% discount on the second pizza, you would say cannot be possible, because you're saying that offer that pizza is free, and plus there is extra money which will be given back. No, that other money would be deducting from the existing pizza. So you buy one pizza, 112% discount on the other pizza. So whatever the amount is, it is getting negotiable. The leftover amount is actually discounting. So basically 100% gone, 12% is getting deducted from the existing pizza you bought. So if your one pizza is 80,000, the other 80,000 is free, and the next 12% is deducted from the 80,000, and that's how you pay. So it becomes a combination. So one is that I have catch the market pulse. I have created a curiosity. What is this 112%? Even including to the marketers like you and us, who would be curious to know. Plus, I am giving the right message, which is the 12th birthday. That's why 112% discount. And then comes the data use, how to target these customers. So I would be targeting the customers who have been always hunting for the offers. Definitely, I'll target them. I will target for the customers who are my most loyal customer to update them with my birthday. I will be targeting to the customer who are similar looking audience somewhere outside in the Facebook, in the Instagram. That's how my whole campaign would work.
You know, I'm definitely going to remember the 112 discount. It's pretty clever. And like you said, I now understand kind of the whole end-to-end kind of the thinking behind it, why you picked that specific number behind the holiday, the festival, and then how that weaved into the targeting. So very, very interesting. I'm definitely going to remember that after this session as well. So I appreciate you sharing that. Another thing that I would love to get your thoughts on, and we talked about this last time, is you called it hacking partnerships. And once again, people listening who are not, hackers themselves, what is actually hacking partnerships, and how did you do it with no investment, which I thought was very kind of clever.
So to understand that, first you need to understand hacking. So hacking doesn't mean actually you are going in and teaching someone else private comfort zone or breaching into their information. That's not what hacking is. Hacking, the actual definition of hacking is capitalizing of the inefficiencies which you can see and capitalize to make it efficient for yourself. So if suppose I have to crack your password, I would try to not guess your password. I would try to guess the other entities which will help me get your password. So for example, how weak you could be. So in the previous times, people used to use keyloggers. So I don't want to hack the system, but I would put a keylogger, which is a trap. You would not know where there's a keylogger. You will put, and now you entered your password. Even if you have entered a password in keylogger, is it easy for me to fetch it out? No, because you would have been keylogging so much of contact in one day, and I don't know how many mails you would have written. So a person like me, to find it out, I would have to do a right search. So maybe my right search would be your email address first, and then see what is the next thing you typed. So I would know that's the next thing. No, normally people after the email address would be entering the password. That's the one key to identify. So that's how the whole hacking philosophy works. So, and this is also in the MBA terms, and I remember there's a course from Harvard also which talks about institutional voids. So institutional voids are the gaps which have actually happened to a market, especially in the market from which I come from. My market is a developing market. So these are the institutional gaps, because the developed market has already filled those gaps. But the market like us, there are gaps and that's where you find those inefficiency and you try to build it up. So, and which is called not, I would not say hacking as a right term. It's a partnership, and a partnership which is mutually beneficial. And when you do that mutually beneficial, so suppose if I don't want to do an investment, the answer is not, it's not an invest. I'm doing a zero investment. I'm still doing an investment because I'm allowing the other person to use my brand. So suppose you have a smart offering. I want to utilize it. I don't have the money. You want the money, but you want a future generated money. My proposal to you is let's do that marriage. Let's implement that solution. And when you implement that solution, I'm an initial investment. I'm not going to give it to you, but I'm going to give it to you on the recurring revenue which we will together earn with the solution. But nevertheless, because I have a brand which is Domino's, over a period of time, so much of investment that has gone into that brand. Why don't you leverage that amount, that tie-up, that your solution being used by someone like Domino's, if you're going to win more clients. So that's a marriage which is happening. So from my side, I can cleverly say it's a hacking solution because I have not put the invested money. But at the same time, it's not just I find it out a gap. I found it out your need. Your need was the branding. My need was a solution. The branding need, people may say there is no money, but of course the branding has a money, and it is the money which is developed over a period of time of investment. So Domino's investment has been happening from the time when the Domino's was created as the first store in the US. And if you are going to leverage that, of course, the money. So it looks from an outside perspective, it's a partnership wherein you are able to scale, but at the same and it's free of investment. But at the same time, I have given you that leverage that you can use my brand, tell other people that how successfully you have been working with us as a solution and earn the money elsewhere. And that's the thinking which goes in. So that's the hacking, because I was able to hack the thought of where the other earning or the replacement of the earning would come. So we've been doing so, and that comes not to the part of everything. It comes to the part when you want to try something. A brand should not stop at something not to trying, because if you are not trying today, someone else will try and will come ahead of you and you will lose the battle. At the same time, when you do a P&L planning or the budget planning for the next year, you of course would not say that I would want to put in this much amount of money where I'll do some experimentation, because your CEO or maybe your investor would come up, say, hey, I look for EBITDA, I don't look for your innovation. If that's not bringing any ROI, if it's not bringing any revenue, why do you want to invest into it? But if you come back to them and you say that I will develop something which is revenue driven, I will pay for the revenue, and you can clearly show metrics into it, even they would not say no, because that's the answer you have. So your role in the system is not to hack just the partner. Your role into the system is to also hack your own management, who's not ready to listen because they are interested in EBITDA. So convincing them what is the right way so that it works for you, and convincing your partner what is the right way to benefit you, and utilizing those gaps into the market is what the role of a hacker, a growth hacker, should be.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I love that you're hacking both sides and the partner side as well as internally. And I think as you were saying, it's by identifying the gaps within, or what each party wants. So for example, if you're working with a partner who doesn't have a brand, you can leverage the brand. And on the brand side, you're generating potential revenue just from that partnership. So it's really a win-win from both sides. But I think to your point, it really starts with understanding, what is it the other person or the other party really wants, and what is the gaps. And then your goal is to identify clever ways to fill those gaps, which I always found very, very, very interesting. I love your story and your example. Mike, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you sharing your insights. I know we could talk all day. You always have some very cool stuff you're working on. I guess my last question is, how can people get in touch with you or find out more about what you do?
One is that they can reach me on LinkedIn. It's Mayank Singh 5 as my ID. The other is I do have my own website, which is www.mayanksingh.com. That's where I keep writing some blogs sometimes. recently wrote an interesting article on AR, VR, and new normal for retail. Maybe if someone would want to catch up and read that, and I would be happy to hear the comments from the readers.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna check that out as well. So Mayank, thank you so much for being on the show. Really, really appreciate you being on.
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed today's show, please feel free to share it with anyone who's data driven, enjoys hacking, or any of the cool ideas we've talked about today. So thank you guys so much. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.